virgins also, and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled.
See, now what happened here, they was resurrected with their regular grave clothes on. And they asked, how long, Lord, before your judgment?
They communicate now.
And right, and he says, look, to your brother and be killed like you were. There was what was called a Roman Inquisition, where they slaughtered anybody that even mentioned the word of Christ.
Right.
Nero killed his mother because she said the word of Christ. So this is how evil this generation was. There was a mass slaughter. And it said when they go through this second set of martyrs, then he said, but look, I know y'all concerned about where you end up. White robes. Look, white robes is only given to the righteous saints. When you see Christ in his army, when they got on. Look, how you know when a demon is messing with you, if you talk to Big Mama, what clothes she got on? She got on the same clothes she had in the casket. Anybody ever seen them in different clothes than they was in the casket? Or they come in with a revelation or a prophecy. See, you got to be aware and make sure this ain't Satan. You got to ask him in your dream while you lucid dream. Are you coming with the word of the Most High? A demon cannot lie to you when you ask them that question. They are under orders only to turn you from the truth. And he'll say, no. But look, don't you want to know what Big Mama doing? Don't you? You want to know she all right, don't you? And lure you into the entertainment. There you go. So y'all, everywhere we read in the scripture, when we read in the Mount of Transfiguration, how was Moses and Elijah dressed? In white robe, gleaming, shining. Whenever the angels come, they say, I saw it was so bright. Moses came off the mount like that because he had been in the presence of Christ. Bright, you know, so we understand that they were given, at that point, their salvation. And put back, and what were they done? Told to do what? Go back to sleep a little season. It ain't judgment time yet. But y'all good. So when judgment time comes, y'all walk up in y'all robes. Well done, servant. Got a spot for you over there. They already good. But if you ain't been granted the right robe or your name is in his forehead, when people say, we ask the question, what is your new name? Because when Abraham was found faithful, his name changed. Right. From Abram to Abraham. From Sarah to Sarah. From Jacob to Israel. So we know the name change comes when the Lord is dealing with you directly. Let's hit, y'all. We got two more, y'all. We're going to close out for time's sake. Holler it out. You can holler it out.
Write down Revelation 3.
I want to go back while he hollers it out. I'm going right back to the Apocrypha 2nd Maccabees.
Write down Revelation 3 and 12 about the new name. You know, people saying that they saved, ain't got no new name.
Y'all understand this, what Satan is doing, y'all, these things that the Most High is telling us to stay away from. He's telling us to stay away from them because we'll get out of control and we'll start to worship the sun and the moon. We're going to end up with, we're going to hit this 2nd Maccabees, then we're going to hit Deuteronomy 4. And we're going to close out, y'all. And we got many more that we deal with also. We didn't hit Isaiah 29 yet. Because a lot of times it'll be said some speak from the ground. You know, also the Jasher, I had that pulled up with Joseph. This is a question we ask, or the non-messianics, I'm going to say this, we're going to move on. When they're talking about Christ, when Christ said in Matthew 1, I'm spoken of by what the prophet Jeremiah said. Immediately, they run to the book of Jeremiah and say, right here, what is 9th chapter? I don't see nothing in there about this fitting Christ. Well, you didn't keep reading. Because if you keep reading, you would have saw in Ramah, there's crying, Rachel weeping. Now, Rachel died before he ever got into Egypt for the first captivity. This is the Babylonian captivity where we served 70 years. Almost how many years later? 300-400 years later? Maybe 600 years later? Why is the prophet in Jeremiah speaking about a woman that was dead before we went into Egypt? And her weeping. And her weeping. What was it about? Back then, it was about her son. Slaughter. The slaughtering of future generation of Israelite children. Christ said this same thing. Rachel's weeping now because they're killing all the newborn under 2 years and old, looking for me when he was a baby. So that's the prophecy of Jeremiah. It's fitting both of But they looking for something else in Jeremiah that don't fit Christ. Christ knows exactly. Weeping and wrong. How does a dead woman weep? Who hears it? That's the question. And these are in the Old Testament way before that, so we ask those who don't believe in Christ what's happening here in the Old Testament. They can't answer. Y'all, but we got to be able to answer every one of these so that nobody is saying, that sounds like necromancy to me. Well, it ain't. Satan is a copycat. These things took place always in the heaven. Resurrection was always there, not reincarnation. I'm not David. That ain't Rehoboam over there. He may have the name of Zephaniah or Zebediah. That's Zephaniah back there. But that ain't Zephaniah that lived 300 years ago. Second Maccabees, y'all. We're going to that. But first, before we go down, I want to hit Isaiah 29, 1 through 4. Because it's something very important again. The dead does not know a thing. When you die according to Ecclesiastes, you go to sleep like this. You don't know nothing until somebody say, hey, wake up. The Lord wants you to wake up. What? You wake up. You wake up. Not nobody else as you. You wake up. Lord, I got some business for you. You're not put back to death. It never said, because it says in the scriptures, Hebrews 9:27, it's appointed for every man to die once. So when he laid them back to sleep, he didn't put them back to death. They just went back and continued on with that first sleep. There was no second death. The second death has no power if you've been granted the kingdom. You cannot die again.
All right, Isaiah 29th chapter, verse 1, brother.
Yes, sir, 1 through 4.
Isaiah 29, verse 1. Woe to Ariel.
Woe to who?
Ariel.
Boy, you better look out.
Another name for Jerusalem, y'all.
Right.
Woe to Ariel. To Ariel, the city where David dwelt. Add ye year to year, let them kill sacrifice. Yet I will distress Ariel, and there shall be heaviness and sorrow, and it shall be unto me as Ariel. And I will camp against thee round about, and will lay siege against thee with a mount. And I will raise forts against thee, and thou shalt be brought down, and shalt speak out of the ground.
What are you going to do?
And thou shalt be brought down, and shalt speak out of the ground.
Right.
And thy speech shall be low out of the dust.
Right.
And thy voice shall be as of one that hath a familiar spirit. Out of the ground.
See, one that has a familiar spirit, as one that has a familiar spirit, but you're not a familiar spirit. It's separating demon and righteousness. Two different things, y'all. And after being, it's called familiar spirit. This is called resurrection of the just. Two different things. So this what was put away from us. People going conjuring up demons. It's a total difference than asking the Lord. But these people ain't got a clue why they sleep. Go ahead. What you saying?
As of one that hath a familiar spirit out of the ground. And thy speech shall whisper out of the dust.
Right.
You going?
You can hold right there. So that's another witness in Isaiah that speaking of the voice. And also, y'all, a lot of times when somebody's legacy is carrying on, it's carried on like they speaking from the dust. But this compared it solely to a familiar spirit. It wanted you to see the difference between the two as one that would speak of a familiar spirit. It didn't say it was. See, y'all, it's little small key words like shall, will, might, you know, that don't mean an absolute. Like it said, if you endure to the end, you might be saved. You shall be saved. You will be saved. Based on what? If you endure until the end. You can't be saved beforehand. This is why the souls underneath the altar was crying. They're like, how long, Lord, before the judgment? White robes. White robes mean you sealed. That's what everybody wore in the kingdom. White robes. Pure and white. Let's hit this last one, y'all. We're going to close out. But this is that Jasher 42. Y'all make sure y'all read that in the book of Jasher 42. Verse 30 on down. And you see like verse 35, he asked his mama to rise from that sleep. This matches up with Rachel weeping.
Yeah, Jeremiah 31.
Rachel weeping, Jeremiah 31. And that's where Christ speaks of it about it in Matthew 1, where he said Jeremiah the prophet, Rachel weeping for her children. Well, Rachel only had 2 children, Benjamin and Joseph. So who else is she weeping for? Why is this prophecy 300 years out? No, that was 400 years in Egypt, and then maybe this is about 1,000 years later that the same prophecy is being brought up.
What was that you said, Matthew?
Huh? Yeah. Second chapter where Christ is saying Jeremiah the prophet spoke of me. Y'all, we're about to get out of here. We got one more. I want to hit Deuteronomy 4. Yes. That's in Jasher 42, starting on verse 30. Y'all, this is Joseph before he went into Egypt. They were about to sell him into slavery. He passed his mama's grave. Y'all see, there's a lot of times we'll say, well, should people go out and talk to their grave? No, it could be dealing with a familiar spirit. You don't have the power to resurrect. If you are there, but we have tombstone markers all the time. We just gonna hit this and that second Maccabees, y'all, and we out of here.
For the new people, the book of Jasher is another book that's a part of the Bible. If you write down Joshua chapter 10, verse 13, and write down 2 Samuel 1 and verse 18, it speaks of the book of Jasher.
It tells you to study out of it.
That's right.
In the Bible.
Teach your sons.
Joshua chapter 10 and verse 13. And the other one is 2 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 18.
Teach your sons the weapons of war.
Right.
1:13.
Joshua 10, 13.
We go on the second Maccabees, y'all, 12, and we're going to close out.
2 Samuel 1 and 18.
You got a closing prayer?
What is it?
Y'all, and understand these things, y'all. This is what you have to wrap your mind around. Y'all been seeing so much wickedness, and we've been told to stay away from the powers of God, that they're going to be used from a wicked perspective. So the Most High say, look, just don't do it. Just don't deal with it. Because you're going to follow the ways of Satan. You ain't going to do what the Lord has asked you to do that. So just don't mess with that. I will send you the Comforter. Deal with that. Deal with that. Don't get into rubbing no palms and shaking no bones. You know, because it's going to cause problems for you. Just deal with this. Satan has got the mastery of that. He's been teaching it for a long time, and he's going to teach it for your own destruction. He'll teach you the Ouija board. You think the Ouija board don't work? We got witnesses that say hands slid across that. Different things that happen. These are opening up that gateway portal to hell. If you think it's fairy tales, you better think again. Go ahead, what you got, bro?
And this also was during the time before the Most High say he was dealing with men, we like, because we kill the prophets and stuff, we couldn't deal.
I can't hear you. What you saying? Speak loud, bro.
This was going on before the Most High say he was through dealing with men, with dealing with signs and prophecy, because we didn't hear a prophet and allowed him to kill.
Absolutely. Even in that Luke 16, about the rich man and the poor man, he said if you can dip your finger in this is a future prophecy of the kingdom of heaven and the lake of fire. He said, for I am tormented in this flame. He wasn't being consumed, but he was just being tormented. He said, if you could just dip your finger in, he said, look, and tell them to go back and tell my brother. He's like, look, if one rose from the dead and went back, they ain't gonna believe it. This already didn't happen before. They still don't believe. They just hard-headed. Hard-headed. Like Bo King Woodbine on Jason Lyrics. Hard-headed.
Yeah, that was a hard-headed joke, bro.
Let's read where we at. No, we don't have you get that right, 2 Maccabees first. We're gonna close out with Deuteronomy. 2 Maccabees 12:39, y'all. We're only gonna hit a little bit of this because a lot of times they'll say, well, this looks like purgatory, like they paying off. But it's a key word in there that says may or will, like David when he was praying for that son he had by Bathsheba illegally. He said, who knows if the Lord will spare this child? And the Lord killed him on the 7th day. Because the 8th day he would have had to have been circumcised. And being a king and brought in a bastard child or committed adultery doing it wasn't happening. Second Maccabees chapter 12.
Chapter 12, verse 39.
What it say?
And upon the day followed, as the youth had been, Judas and his company came to take up the bodies of them that were slain, and to bury them with their kinsmen in their father's graves. Now under the coats of every one that was slain, they found things consecrated to the idols of the Jebusites.
See, so when they went to get the dead bodies, they roll them over. They clutched on to their idols. Save me the same way you do if you clutching onto a cross. Walking through the steakhouse alley at night. It ain't gonna help. That's an idol. Somebody made it at a pawn shop or at a jewelry shop. It has no power.
None.
Go ahead.
Which is forbidden the Jews by the law.
What does it say again?
Which is forbidden the Jews by the law.
So when you see Egyptology, they putting all that fruit and idols in the casket with them. They think they're taking it to the afterworld. No. They ain't taking it nowhere. No. The same way as us. You can put all that stuff in the casket, you won't get in here. Go ahead, brother.
Then every man saw that this was the cause wherefore they were slain.
Why were they slain? It's called idol worshiping. Go ahead.
All men therefore praising the Lord, the righteous judge, who had opened the things that were hid, betook themselves unto prayer, and besought him that the sin committed might wholly be put out of remembrance. Besides, that no Judas exhorted the people to keep themselves from sin, for so much as they saw before their eyes the things that came to pass for the sin of those who were slain. And when he had made a gathering throughout the company to the sum of 2,000 drachms of silver, he sent it to Jerusalem to offer a sin offering, doing therein very well and honestly, in that he was mindful of the resurrection.
Now hold it right here. See, so he sent money back to Jerusalem, mindful of the resurrection that was coming. He like, look, Lord, these men died because they died in idol worship. But this wealth, we coming back, we want to be mindful of the resurrection that's coming. And we offering a sin offering now for Jerusalem, doing what they was doing. A lot of people will read this and say, well, right here, this sounds like purgatory that the Catholics teach. It sounds like you trying to pay off sins for dead people. But if we read, they use the word man, and they said possibly the sin that Israel committed. We are praying for that, not for those individuals that's dead trying to buy their way back into the kingdom. We see why they were slain. When they rolled them over idol worship, they clutched on to Mary statues or whatever the idol was back in that day. Diana statue. Go ahead, read on some more.
44. For if he had not hoped that they that were slain should have risen again, it had been superfluous and vain to pray for the dead.
Right.
And also in that he perceived that there was a great favor laid up for those that died godly.
That died how?
Godly.
See, that's the difference in what we're talking about. If you die godly. Look, every funeral we go to, look Willie in there. All of a sudden you read an obituary and look Willie first came to know Christ at an early age, and he went to Vashon, and he did this, and you have to go, and you're like, wait a minute, who was in that casket? Oh, he robbed my house, the next door neighbors. Who is this, the guy that y'all pushing in the head? And I know he's up there with the Lord looking down. Oh, you think it's that easy?
Right.
Go ahead, bro. Read some more. We're going to read this last one, Deuteronomy 4.
It was an holy and good thought, whereupon he made a reconciliation for the dead, that they might be delivered from sin.
So he made a reconciliation. He asked the Lord, will this judge those that died righteously? Lord, and see, that's the key word what we got to get in, y'all. It's always some word that tips off what it's talking about.
Right.
Those that died right. He ain't saying nothing else but the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. It said that in the New Testament. We have to understand, any men that turn back from the law of the Lord that was perfect, all of the treasures that they were storing in heaven goes to the rest of the saints. It's divvied up. They out. They through. It's not talking about wickedness. It's talking about practicing that you do every day. You know wicked, but you practice wickedness. And if you're an Israelite that know who you are, and you turn, or anybody that doesn't believe in Christ, you turn to another God, all of that heavenly money you have stored up goes to the righteous souls that enter into the kingdom.
Matthew 25.
That's what it means when it says the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous. It don't mean because Hitler had a few gold coins, we're going to split that up. No, we're talking about people that love the Lord, understood him, and then turned. Just like it talks about Ezekiel 18. Ezekiel 18 breaks it down, all souls of mine. If a righteous man been righteous his whole life, but turned at the last minute, none of his righteousness should be counted. None of it. If a wicked man to his last day, and then he turned, his wickedness ain't going to be counted. Right. But you can't play Russian roulette with the Lord. Deuteronomy 4, y'all, will close out.
Also write down 1 Peter 4 and 18. It says, if the righteous can scarcely be saved, where should the ungodly and the sinner appear?
Read that again. What does that say?
It says, and if the righteous scarcely be saved.
Y'all know what that means? If they scarcely be saved, they just get through the door.
Ooh,
When they close, boom.
By the skin of your teeth.
By the
This ain't
skin of
righteous.
your teeth.
Right.
Where does the sinner and the ungodly stand?
Right.
And we know righteousness is law keeping.
That's right. So
Let's get it. What it say?
So it says, and if the righteous scarcely be saved,
Uh-huh.
where shall the ungodly and the sinner appear?
Right.
Man.
And judge, like everybody else, waiting to hear the word. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for the whole duty of man, when he's going to bring everything into judgment, every word, whether good or evil, everything coming out on that day. Everything. Go ahead, where we at? Let's read this last one. Where we at?
Deuteronomy chapter 4.
15. No, start about. Yeah.
15?
Yeah, we go down to
20?
23, y'all. We close out.
Deuteronomy chapter 4.
Y'all read all that on your own time, y'all. We just kind of ran out of time a little bit today, y'all, but y'all read all of that, y'all. Y'all get into the Urim and Thummim and understand and casting of lots. You will see these things already been done righteously. It's when Satan get a hold of them, he turned them into wickedness. It don't mean they was wicked from the beginning, because every idea, like we talk about the Christmas tree, the tree was in the garden first. So tree worship has always been in the garden, but not to worship literal objects or human beings like ourselves that are sinners. That's what Satan gets you to do. So his tree is a physical tree that you will worship, or another man that's a sinner like yourself. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19.
What it say?
At least thou lift up thine eyes unto heaven.
I tell you what, back it up to 16, 15. Go ahead, y'all.
Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 15.
Yeah.
Take ye therefore good heed unto yourselves,
Right.
for ye saw no manner of similitude on the day that the Lord spake unto you in Horeb, out of the midst of the fire.
Right.
These ye corrupt yourselves, and make you a graven image.
So he said, when you saw the Lord come down on Mount Sinai, didn't none of y'all see him. They're talking about making a picture of him. Every picture looked like somebody we know. Jerry Curls wasn't out then, but if you got a black one, that's what he got. Go ahead, brother.
The similitude of any figure the likeness of male or female.
Y'all heard this? The similitude of any figure, male or female. Go ahead. Hold it down over there, y'all. Go ahead.
The likeness of any beast.
The likeness of any beast, all that's in Egyptology.
Right.
Go ahead.
That is on the earth. The likeness of any winged fowl that flieth in the air.
Right.
The likeness of anything that creepeth on the ground.
Right.
The likeness of any fish that is in the waters beneath the earth. And lest thou lift up thine eyes in the heaven, and when thou seest the sun, and the moon, and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them.
See, and that's where we get moon worship, or the Muslim doctrine, the Muslim doctrine, they are moon worship.
Right.
Modern day, what we call the doctrine of Christianity out of Rome after the Council of Nicaea in 372 AD is sun worship. What is it?
325 AD.
They are sun worshipers, brought up from Nimrod through Egypt, and now is hidden these doctrines today. Go ahead.
Which,
Where you at, verse 19?
verse 19. At least thou lift up thine eyes in the heaven, and when thou seest the sun, and the moon, and the stars, even all the host of heaven, shouldest be driven to worship them, and serve them, which the Lord thy God had divided unto all nations under the whole heaven.
See, he gave the sun for every nation to use it for the feast days and for crops and whatever it was for, not to worship the sun. Go ahead.
But the Lord had taken you and brought you forth out of the iron furnace, even out of Egypt, to be unto him a people of inheritance, as ye are this day.
We can hold right there. Y'all read the rest of that on your own time. Just got to make this quick announcement. Y'all want to talk about the Passover again and the outstanding work that was done. I want to thank all of y'all. The brothers put down that lesson, y'all. It was outstanding.
Yes, it was.
Y'all, but that's what comes with discipline and order. Decently in order, y'all. We got to stick with it, y'all, so that this can go off. We looking for in the high 200s. We was closing in on 400 people. Yeah. It was fantastic, y'all. Just want to send shouts out to everybody that participated, y'all, and helped pull that off. And we got the next one is the Feast of Pentecost. We'll give the location for that. That will be a park event where we'll put down the scriptures, and then we'll feast again.
That's right.
And right after that, you know, we have the trumpets, Day of Atonement, but our next out feast is the Feast of Tabernacles or Sukkot, where a lot of us who's already signed up on the list, if you didn't sign up, y'all missed out, y'all, because we're going to do Sukkot out at Merrimack State Park, or where they're going to set them tents up, like it talks about in the scripture. We got to live and understand what it is to be outside, like how Christ was born. He was born in a Sukkot booth. Right. Contrary to popular belief, he was born in late September or October, around the Feast of Tabernacles. So y'all, we want to be clear on that. That'll be another subject when we get to that, you know, on the day that he was born, because he was born 6 months before.
Zechariah.
Before 6 months after John the Baptist. John the Baptist was born.
Right. That's Zechariah.
Right. What you got to say? Hold it down, y'all. Listen up.
Everybody signed up for Feast of Tabernacles. Your $10 deposit is due today. And also, next week we will start the children's class. Sister Ariel is going to be part of that. If anybody have children who want to participate in their class, you bring them in, you come in next Sabbath. We want a rotation of sisters, so if your children participate, we want you to be a part of, helping out as well. Depending on how many children is in class at one time, maybe up to 2 sisters needed, to work with the children. So we want to rotate out so every sister one sister won't have to do it, every week, all the time. So we want to, at least give everybody a break. So if you want to sign up, just talk to Sister Ariel. She'll be here next Saturday, so she has to leave early today. And that's it.
Okay, y'all. Also, last thing, Psalm 140. So y'all, on the last day of the feast, y'all, the feast close, yeah, we want to mention Brother Isaiah too. On the feast close, sundown, or at sunset on Monday night, y'all, the Feast of Unleavened Bread ends. You can get back into it, but I'm telling you, y'all, just think about that 1 week of eating no bread with yeast in it.